Welcome everyone back to the arena with your co-hosts Matt and MD. First of all, thank you all so much for being here, for being in the arena with us. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, and if you feel really compelled, give us 5 stars. All of that really, it really helps, promote the show, widen our reach. And also let me know because Matt's in a season of life where he's getting ready to move, and at some point in 2026, I am making a move. And we were just talking about, I'm really between Tampa, St. Pete area, Austin, Texas, or, kind of southern LA, Los Angeles, the surrounding area. So let me know, drop a thing and drop a comment, send me a message, let us know where you think I should live and why. But anyways, MD, I got a doozy for you to start, because why not? Is doozy a weird word, by the way? Because I said it the other day in a speech and people kind of laughed. They're like, doozy, huh? I'm like, oh, I guess it's funny. But anyways, what is keeping you? I don't know why
Well,
this
yeah.
question popped into my
Was the
head.
do was the doozy question rhetorical?
It was just like, no, I was like, this one's a doozy. I need you to pay attention, kind of thing. Like, there's a lot. It's like you
No,
gotta like,
whether it's weird or not. I don't think it's a weird word. I feel like that's.
oh, I don't think it's a weird word either. I don't know.
You think they
Um,
got it confused with dookie?
maybe, but it was an adult audience. I don't think they were like immature or anything. So I don't know. Anyways, what is keeping you up at night the most right now? Maybe another way of saying what are you struggling with the most currently?
Um, am I even still coming through my microphone here? Yeah. Oh, I mean, the first lap of being in my 30s has gone pretty quickly. Like I'll be 31 sooner than when from there's a closer distance to 31 than when I turned 30, and I feel like I blinked. Um,
You're getting
and
old, bro.
Your health, yeah, thanks.
I'm kidding. I turned
Uh,
31 in July.
I mean, it's not even the number itself doesn't scare me so much as like I think the idea of aging doesn't really even scare me. I think it's kind of like the by the way, I sleep fine at night. I don't not a lot is really keeping me up.
It's kind of a rhetorical question.
No, I got you. Number one, I and we don't go into this on this show, but what keeps me up at night is the war, what's going on in the world. But if it's about me and my life, I think it's really trying to map out, almost like blueprint or map out, like, how do I get this thing off the ground in terms of building a family, building a lifestyle that I'm ready to start that process of building a family. Um, where does that need to be? Um, have I done the things that I feel like I've needed to do, or have I done the things that maybe I should have been doing to lay the groundwork for that? And I think what you're probably hearing is what you always hear when I speak, which is perfectionism. Um, but at the same time, it's like you see others um, building families, and I'm still at that point where you left me, which is like, do I actually want to do this? Is it for me? Why is this something that keeps coming up? Is it a preconditioned belief from when I was little that the next part of life is to start to build a family? I'll tell you, like, I'm living a life right now without family, and part of my environment, part of my daily lifestyle, like, it's kind of a loner, it's a little bit hermit crabby, and so um, I'm focused on myself, and it's great, and I have the flexibility and the autonomy, but it's like, you know, with lack of community and lack of family, it gets a little lonely. So very lonely. So that's probably what keeps me up at night is like, I'll do the hinge swipe and I'm like, what am I doing? I probably need to relocate and go somewhere where I can be outdoors more and doing things I actually care to do on a daily basis more. And man, like, it just feels so hard to meet somebody in person. like in the moment outside, like especially because I'm in such a routine that it almost like is you ever see like those toy trains that go around like the Christmas tree, like the track? You know, it's like you can decorate around the track, but it's like sun up to sundown, it's the same track, you know, and if I continue this same track the next 30 years, I don't know that there's just no
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
simply put, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I have to change something. Now that said, not to get rambly, but I just did a whole 180 in terms of what I was doing day to day in my career and jumping into a role that has really challenged me in a lot of ways all at once for a persistent amount of time dysregulated the hell out of me. Full transparency, I put up like probably 40 pounds, man. Like easily, dude. And that just goes back to some genetics here. Like I come from my dad's side of the family are large human beings, and we've always joked about this, but this has always been serious. Like DNA wise, man, like if there was such thing as
Yeah.
like a competitive weight gain contest, I could
Oh,
win.
I'd be there
Like,
with you.
yeah, and I mean, so I was sedentary. I was burning out mentally with like trying to keep up with stuff. I was overwhelmed. I was dealing with low confidence. I was operating on just courage alone. Um, I was getting consumed in other things, and it's just I've lived a phase of life where you let yourself go a little bit, and that was sort of my welcoming into my 30s, and like that has really kept me up at night because you take apart you take in all of what I just described, and it's like, wait a second, I feel like I took 10 steps back.
What's it like to like? How do you differentiate? And we've talked about this before, but I'm just curious because like I think you also enjoy your alone time in solitude. But I also heard you say that you're feeling lonely in some respects. Like how do you differentiate those two things for you personally when it's, I'm enjoying my time alone and also I'm also feeling in certain pockets or cases lonely.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about our introvertedness. Um and I mean, I love sitting deep in thought. I love writing. I love like learning. Um, but I think there are elements of my solitude that also stem from an insecurity of bringing somebody into this life. There are parts of my life, what I just described really, where it's like I'm not I'm not secure with this version of myself. And so it's hard at times for me to be with me. And so it then becomes impossible for me to bring somebody else to be with me. And so I think there are parts of solitude that, yeah, I admire. Even if I had a family, I would want to have like my man cave, like I love my alone time, but I don't know that it's I don't know that it's any long I don't know that it continues to be like optional. It almost feels like it's even if let's say even if I didn't want to be alone, I don't know that I can change that right now. I don't know that I have the right social circle for where I'm at in my life. I don't know that I have any social circle at all, really, that I think me going into other social circles today feels like I'm um making a concession of sorts or compromising of sorts. Um, so kind of forget your actual question, like how do I discern the difference between solitude versus loneliness? I would say like there are parts of it that are lonely because it's um can't really change it if I wanted to. I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes any sense.
it does, and it made me think about like, because I certainly experienced this in moments of my own life, which is a big reason why I just mentioned earlier on the show that I want to move, because I think it kind of forces you to get off that, whatever that metaphor, that train.
Yeah.
It forces you to get off and like take a new route and develop new habits and meet new people in new places. Like that is all there's nothing stopping yourself, myself, from doing that here in Chicago. It's just much more difficult when you've got so much structure and so much um, just certainty or knowingness of like your environment. It's very difficult to I guess unwind a lot of those patterns, which I feel like is why a lot of people move in the first place, because it kind of forces you to do that in a way. Um, but I was thinking about when it comes to loneliness, like I feel like for me, I can tell when I need my alone time because it helps me recharge. But there's a point where I'm then already charged. And then if I'm still not around people, then it's like, okay, now I kind of feel like I already recharged. Like I've done that. Like I got a full battery now, a full social battery, a full emotional battery. Like, and if I'm still not around people, then it can feel like, I think that's kind of where I get that sense of loneliness.
I guess for you, and because I think part of my answer that I might have left out, believe it or not, I left something out of that answer. Um, I think so much of it has to also do with how the way I view life in the world, on how that's evolved. And I think it's evolved in a way that has isolated me in some ways. Like, and obviously I know in like a corporate environment, it's very performative. And so you don't really operate from your worldview anyway. I don't know that I'm in enough circles or in enough environments where my worldview is shared. And so it's hard, I think, and I think you've gone through a healing journey, and you've certainly evolved, I think, in terms of like your belief systems, what you value. Do you get a sense that like sometimes your loneliness is a function of feeling like you've, for better or for worse, probably for the better, but like maybe you've manufactured your own isolation because you've started to think about life in a way that maybe is a road less traveled, or you just feel like you have less automatic default common ground, whereas in the past, simply just going out and drinking at a pub could have been the common ground, right? Like, do you find it harder to like really resonate with people because of where you're at in life today?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you, I guess I'm cool with me at this point in my life, meaning I have inner peace. And so I'm not really willing, nor do I really feel called to disrupt that peace simply to just be around, other people. Um, because it doesn't give me what I really truly want, which is like real connection. Like if I'm going to be around someone else, or I'm going to go take time to spend time around other people, like I really wanted to provide what I can't already give myself, which is I can already give myself without anyone else a sense of peace. But what I really am seeking is like true connection with other people. And like, yeah, I feel like a lot of people it's just a little bit more difficult to do that. And there are others where I think you just have to kind of pick and choose like what type of role that relationship might have in your life. Like there's maybe parts of my character or my personality that connect with certain parts of other people's personality or character. And like we can kind of like connect on those levels. And then other parts of that person, like I don't really resonate with at all. And like, that's okay. Like then we don't need to like share that part of our lives or whatever it might be. Like I think it's pretty rare now which is again why I'm in search of it, to like really find a community that feels like your tribe, if you will, like your family that's not actually your family, like where you really resonate at a deeper level. But like there's friends that we share a common ground around faith, and like it's nice to be able to just connect and talk to people about that, for me, because I don't have a lot of people that I can do that with, and I feel like oftentimes I feel like I'm kind of like hiding that part of myself, or like pushing it away when it's a big part of my life. It's something I do every day, so like to have someone, even if we might not share, I don't know, common ground and everything, like at least we can share that and I can connect with them over that. So to answer your question, like, yes, it's definitely harder. The more that's why I feel like in some cases, like ignorance is bliss. Like the more that you know yourself and the more that you're comfortable with yourself, like it's the biggest blessing in the world. And it also means that like I'm not going to, um, like people please. Like I'm not going to go to hang out with people just to be, quote unquote, fit in or be accepted or be around them, because that just doesn't give me what I'm seeking in a relationship at this stage of my life, which is to actually like connect with another human being. In order to do that, like that requires, trust on both sides. It requires vulnerability, and like that's hard to find. It's hard to find on both ends. It's hard for me to find someone that I trust to, share my truth with, or, share, what I'm going, whatever it might be. And it's hard to find, others that are willing to kind of do the same. So when I do find them, I really hold them dearly and things like that. But, yes, it's hard. And that's why I'm getting out of this, outside of other reasons too, but that's why I'm looking to move. The biggest role, the biggest reason is, outside of weather, is, community. Because it's to build a community, because in a lot of cases I have everything I need in Chicago and where I'm at. I'm with my parents. I love them to death. It's very convenient for me. I live next to the second biggest airport in the world, so I travel a lot, so I can get wherever. I can fly anywhere anywhere in the country directly, which is super convenient for me. I have my dog, and my parents are able to watch my dog, and so it's super convenient. Like the convenience is crazy right now in my life. And yet I still feel more called and pulled than ever to move somewhere else. And I think it's because I'm lacking that other part, which is a community of other people in my life. And so that's a big roundabout way of answering your question. But I just kind of put that together. I was kind of piecing that together. I'm like, why am I still like looking to move? And I think that's why.
Well, and you said something like you can see, I think you described it as like a person has a certain role in your life, and I think maybe that's somewhat synonymous, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you mentioned it in some ways synonymous to like that's why, or like that's a shared value or shared belief, and like that's why you have that person in your life. So you mentioned like somebody who shares your faith, right? But like the roles that you're looking to build your community with, what do they need to share for you? Like what's their role? So you move, let's say, and you build out a community, your tribe, call it 3 to 5 people. What's their role in your life?
Ooh, what's the role in my life? What a great question. Um, I think just to like be human beings with, like to coexist in a way, like we are social creatures, like like evolutionarily, like people grew up in tribes, not alone, because we have this deep desire to belong and to connect with our fellow humans. And so it's nothing more than it is to just like to experience life with, in like the most broad sense, like to have a group of people that I can just like let take off the mask, like loosen the shoulders, drop the shoulders, and just like we can just chill and like hang out, have fun, dance,
Yeah,
whatever it
so
might
like
be.
what's the criteria to be a part of that?
Oh,
Phrase
yeah,
differently.
I would say, I think it kind of like, I think there can be different people that fill different parts, meaning like I'd love to have a couple other like true, other entrepreneurs that can kind of like share in that struggle, and also like just kind of understand and walk that path, because it's pretty unique and it's challenging, and things like that. I mean, I think criteria wise, like value system, like it's got to be aligned. So I mean, I've got to have a sense of trust that like I can be my authentic self, and I also want others that are going to be the same. I think like value wise, kindness. Like I want to be around people that are incredibly kind, that are good listeners. I think I'm a good listener, so I kind of want friends that know how to listen as well and like actually care about what I have to say and like want to hear me talk. I can't tell you how good it feels to just like have people proactively ask you questions. You know what I mean? And like you can tell they're listening because they ask a follow-up question about what you said. Like even that alone is like so it feels so nice. So I think like broadly speaking, kind um uh I mean, like I would say driven and ambitious, where to where that is, like is not so much important to me, but I kind of see myself being around other like driven, like spiritually driven, like personal growth driven people. I don't really see myself around others that are like kind of just like, I don't know, maybe more like just, I don't say sleepwalking through life, but I think you get what I'm saying. Just like motivated in whatever arena they're in life. I don't care what it is they're doing. Um, and just again, people that allow me to feel safe and to be myself. That's all I want. Like I'm thinking about my good friend Bree, and like I love her so much because she just, when I'm with her, I feel like I can just be totally me. She's interested in me, I'm interested in her, and we can just like connect on a human level. And to me, that's like so special and so hard to find as you get older in life. Because we have these like preconceived notions of like, oh, well, this person's already probably got a friend group. I mean, and all sorts of different things. But I'm curious, like, what for you, like, to flip the question onto you, what do you and what do you see yourself like? How do you see that tribe of people looking? Not so much physically, but like, how do you say what I'm saying? Like, just like in terms of values and things like that.
Well, quickly though, and I'll get to that, but it's interesting you isolate an example like a Brie, who I've never met, but there's a clear, I think, delineation between somebody like her and just somebody else that doesn't maybe provide you a sense that they're interested in you, or that, I'm using your words, right, are safe to be yourself. I'm curious, what are the early tells when somebody is not Brie? Like
Well,
where do you get that sense from? Is it how they talk? Is it what they would say? Is it how they look at you? Is it probably a culmination of things, but
yeah.
curious, like some of your lived examples where it was clear to you that this is not going to be another Brie.
Yeah, I would say, so much of it is like I feel like like I'm a very sensitive person, so a lot of it's intuitive, honestly. Like I just really can feel, y- but I would say, I mean, if someone comes in super, is it assumptive a word? Like assumptuous? Whatever the word, like I can kind of, it's assumptive.
Assumptive. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
I
if
was
they
on
come
mute.
in
Yeah.
super assumptive, or, uh, I think that for me is, sometimes a telltale. Yeah, you can tell by a lot about what people say without even with them out even really realizing it,
Assump-
that they just,
Assumptive how?
I guess like, compassionate to me is important. So a lack of compassion, maybe. I guess just like judgmental, and like it can show up in little ways, but I'm just not. It just doesn't really, it doesn't really vibe with me. Um, and I would say like maybe another one, like just like complaining, like very I don't even know the word for that, but like I guess I really value accountability. I value people that are curious, so the opposite of these things. Um I don't know, man. I think about, like, I feel like I just made like, I had such a great time in Phoenix, for example, speaking at an event, and I just loved some of the people that were there, and I'm trying to think like what about them, like, did I enjoy? And like I think so much of it comes down to presence. Like, are they like truly there? Are they present with you? Um, like, do they honor the time that you are, that you're with each other, to the point where you can feel their presence, like that they're actually there? So I guess like to answer your question, what things that would be like, oh, this is not maybe the best fit, or um, yeah, I would say like any sort of judgment, like in nature, um, like some like for example, like someone the other day was like, I said something about God, and they're like, oh no, God's not real, it's universe. I'm like, okay, you're welcome to have like, okay, like fine, like sure, you whatever. But like when you come in like that, I'm like, I just don't see us like we're not probably gonna be able to like talk about like you can have your belief. I really don't care, but like when you come in so like hot like that, it's like whoa. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a great question. I have to think about it more. But I'm sure you probably.
I
I'm
want to ask you
curious.
something though.
Yeah.
As long as I've known you, and this is where we differ, you're very, and this is not a compliment, nor is it an insult. This is an objective observation of over 10 years of knowing you. You're very anti-confrontational. Like, you might have a perspective, you might have a strong perspective, you might have strong reasoning to support your perspective. The moment somebody comes across strong with theirs, you've always disengaged. And hey, look, there are times in my life where I admire that part of you, right? Like there are times where I've died on hills that I don't care to even like count, right? Like, but I'm just curious if you've ever talked about that part of yourself with anybody, or if you've ever dug into that part.
With a
I'm just
therapist.
curious. Yeah, a therapist, or if I'm tapping into a part of you that we just never talked about. But like, I've done so much reflecting on like why I'm so confrontational and why I'm very engaging, like engagement, like debate, very, and yeah, I think it's less about me trying to. I always, the one thing that really bothered me in our social circles was when people that phase of people saying that like I had to be right.
Oh,
You perpetuated a lot of that, but like
this
it
is
was
a part of it.
joking, but
Yeah.
like I truly was just like, it really wasn't important to me to be proven right, but there was a part of me that I've had to work on, which is like, why did I care to be so strongly opinionated? Why did I get good energy out of confrontation? And one thing I've always observed about you is that like the moment things got lukewarm, you just back away completely. And that was maybe a defense mechanism, but like it was very okay, yeah, no, you're welcome to have that. I'm like, see ya, never talk to you again. Where it's like, no, I'm flying into the fire. Like I want the fight. So I'm like, I want to hear about that part of you from your
Yeah.
perspective.
Well, yeah, and then if I share, then give an example or something if I'm kind of going off the wrong path. Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, I've never really thought about this. I think part of it is it probably goes back to my childhood, and I don't really want to get in, at least on this, but I'm sure some of it is just, confrontation and how it's handled when I was younger, and what was acceptable, what wasn't, and things like that. Like that certainly, I think, stays with me, stays with anybody in terms of how it was handled when you were growing up. And I think, for me, it feels, I think sometimes it just depends. A lot of it depends on the person, I think, and like how I view maybe the relationship. And like also like the intention behind the other person. Like, are they here truly to like, are they here truly to listen and like understand, or are they here to, just give me their perspective or their belief with no real intent of like coming to some sort of compromise or dialogue or like real. But a lot of times for me, I think it feels like it's just going to be, I've got one perspective, they've got another, and we're just going to go back and forth, and like that didn't feel like a good use of my energy. So I think a lot of it comes down to, I just sometimes it's just not that important. It depends on the topic. Like if it's something I'm truly passionate about, then like I probably will go kind of, back and forth a little bit. If I really, but a lot of the topics I'm just like, this isn't like, you okay? Like you think that's totally cool. Like I get it, a lot of times I just think about like from from your perspective, I could see that. Like if I was in your shoes, I could see why you think that or why you believe that. Like I got oh man, I don't know if I should say, I'll summarize, without, I got an email from someone, I did an event with, not too long ago, and it was a great event, got super great feedback, felt really good about it. And I got one email from someone after. And normally if I get an email after like an email, it's like someone's like really happy, like they loved it, they wanted to tell me about something special. Well, this person did the opposite, and they were like, I thought you blew it. I thought this was terrible. I don't care about, because I open up with my story. I don't care about your story. I don't care who you're attracted to. I don't like that you said this is supposed to be a safe space. We don't care about a safe space, yada, yada. I mean, it was very just like combative, like caught me off guard. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is clearly a them problem. But instead of like, there was a part of me that wanted to be like, hey, I hear you. Here's why I do it. Like a part of me wanted to explain myself, if you will. And then I'm like, you know what? I think this person just wants to be heard. Like and so I just responded. I said, hey, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for your feedback received. I totally, from your perspective, I totally understand why you feel this way. Like, sorry, it didn't resonate. Best of luck. So I guess
not to call you out.
Yeah.
But I want to know how much of, maybe you made a concession with yourself. Like, do you fully understand why they would like,
in this case,
I don't mean to, I'm not saying this to like challenge you,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, like, how do you bucket like where this person's coming from? Are they just projecting from their own wounds, like generally speaking, or like, is that what you?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I don't know exactly, but like if I put myself in their shoes and like this is how this is their belief system and like how they feel about these things, like of course they're going to feel it was off-putting. Of course they're going to feel like it was not appropriate. Like that's kind of what I try to do. It doesn't mean it's like I'm not excusing them. Like it's not like, again, like I won't be like seeing this person, like having a conversation with them again. But I at least try to understand where they're coming from. Even though like from my perspective and my reality, I think it's crazy. I think you're projecting completely, but like, I think it's just really, I've really tried to meet people where they're at. The more I age, if you will, the more I go through life, it's like the more benefit I found in just trying to meet people where they are rather than trying to get them to meet me where I am. Because some people just don't have the level of consciousness or the level of awareness, even if you explain it perfectly. And so I just do my best to try to meet them where they are. And a lot of times I think, yes, I do think in some ways it's like a coping response of, avoiding confrontation. Again, a lot of it stemming from, when I was younger. And also like a lot of times to me, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Now it depends. Again, that's relationship dependent. That's topic dependent. But a lot of times I think that's kind of where I land. But I'm also curious on the flip side, because you, on the other hand, are probably, you fall more towards the other end of the spectrum. So in your reflection, what have you come to realize about, yourself and maybe moving towards confrontation rather than away from it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, historically, I would chalk so much of it up to just immaturity. These days, I think it's a much more curious confrontation. Like, I'm not so quick to like lace up the gloves and start swinging. But I go back to like even just like the stupid little LeBron Jordan debates we all used to get into, right? And I always viewed you as like kind of on my side with the whole Jordan thing. But then like as soon as like shit got hot, I'd like look to my left and you were gone. And I was out there alone taking, whatever. But I
Bro,
mean,
I think I just,
and I
I think I
think,
just got drained. It was like draining.
and I think you had the discernment to say like this is pointless, and for whatever reason, I think um it got out of me. It allowed me to channel a certain energy, and that could be emotional, and that could be healing, and that could be processing, right? Like we all look to express anger, we all look to express pent up energy, and I think argument, debate, clashes of perspective has always given me sort of an outlet of sorts. Um, and yeah, probably stemming back to my childhood, I also think I didn't have the best role models with how to handle differences by any means. Like, I think that how I saw differences get handled was shouting matches and brute force of like my perspective is going to just wear yours down versus we're going to have open hearts and open minds, and we're going to have a sense of empathy, and we're going to try and whatever. Nowadays, almost as if I've been on like a debate team, I very much believe that if you're going to withhold a belief system or a point of view, and you're going to be ready to stand that ground and defend it for however you feel necessary to defend it, I think it's important to be able to articulate the other side of the argument just as well. And so whenever now I feel like somebody cares to, and nobody really does, because, you know, if somebody were to come to me and try to challenge a perspective of mine, a world belief, a value, whatever it is, my mind, I might immediately in the moment emotionally get defensive. But like once I start like thinking clearly, I think I now lead with this like calculation of where are they coming from, what are they saying, what is their perspective, what is their stance, and do I know enough about that to now be able to engage in this. And so it's, does it still provide me an outlet? Can I still express anger? And absolutely. I just did with my dad about politics yesterday. Like, and I can sit there and I can reflect and I can say, okay, like I've probably said things in ways that were snarky, or I've probably tapped back into some of my immaturity in that moment. Like, and I have to remember who I'm talking to and their role in my life, and like there are certain boundaries there that you just have to respect. And so, it's almost like I have this like vivid awareness of like the things that I'm engaging in and like how it's operating and how things are going. At the same time, I'm still so imperfectly going about it. And but yeah, I think confrontation for me, I crave debate. I crave argument, dude, and like that was just something that like just hit me right now in this moment when you talked about this guy, or I think it was a guy who came in about like universe and science after you'd mentioned God. Like, I think you and I have two very 180 yin and yang, like different responses to that, where I think a lot of people would say you protected your energy. I think for me, I don't know that it would have been a waste of energy either, though, for me. Like, I think it would have been an emotional release at best, but I actually nowadays would have drove a ton of curiosity into that. But at the same time, to your point, I think we both have the discernment of like, this person's just not worth the time and the energy, right? And like, this could have been in passing. This could be somebody I feel like I'm never going to see again. Like, to your point, like, if I'm going to see this person daily, different response than if I just ran into this person and I trust I'll probably never see them again. So, all to say, I don't know. I would have, I have a harder time not challenging that person in that moment than I think you do.
Yeah, which I
That
think part of
there's,
that's just different personalities. And part of it is like I've also like been at a place in my life where I was like, oh yes, like the universe, like that's how we got here. You know what I mean? So I've been there. So like, who am I to say like, like we're it's just so much of it comes down to our level of consciousness and awareness and um experiences in life that it's like, you know what, who am I to tell you to have or not have this belief? Because at one time that was my belief. So like, you're go ahead. I again, I probably won't be like hanging out with them because of the way in which they, communicated. But they're more than, I don't, for in this particular example, I don't take pride in the fact that like I am a follower of, a man of faith and of God and of Jesus Christ. Like I don't take pride in that. I don't think I'm quote unquote right. I think that's the belief that I choose to live by as of right now, and that serves me. And like I had someone ask me the other day, would you be able to date someone that wasn't religious? And I was like, well, first of all, I don't even really consider myself quote unquote religious. I just I have a relationship with God. But if I was like, and my answer was like, yeah, so long as they're a good person. Like, so long as two things, like, so long as one, when I do pray or when I do read scripture, whatever it might be, that they aren't giving me like the side eye and be like, well, what's this guy doing? Number one. And so like, as long as I'm not being judged. And number two, so long as they live, so long as we are aligned on values and they live out those values, I don't really care how you get there. Like, you could be like, if you could be an atheist for all I care, if you're truly a grounded person and like you live and you're open hearted and you're curious and you're kind, like, I really don't care how you get there. Like, to me,
There
these
are
are all
so
just
many
tools.
people.
You
There
know,
are so many people that disagree with that. I'm
that's
not one of
okay.
them necessarily. I think I like the way you phrased it, not to cut you off, but I don't care how you get there was I like that a lot. It's
I
like
don't know. That's just like my maybe that'll evolve, but like, I don't. Who am I to sit here and tell you what you should and shouldn't believe when have had completely different experiences than you and different like everything is like, I care about your actions. Like that's what I'm more concerned about, and how you show up in the action, like in what and how you show up in the world. Like, if you do that part right in a way that like I feel like is aligned with me, then like I'm cool. Like, again, that's like that's just how I live. Maybe that'll change, but that's my, you know, because I've
it's
evolved.
and also we should not go down a Christianity rabbit hole here, but we can like dip our toes. It's funny you said that, like, I'm not prideful of my belief system. And I'm like, gosh, the everyday quote unquote, air quotes, Christian that goes about their day prideful of their belief system. It's like, whether you follow this guy or not, Jesus Christ once said, like, I'm not good, he is good, right? Like, all good just flows through me. And it's this opposite of, it's almost like this detachment, like, I'm not good or bad. I'm just a vessel of energy, basically. And I'm passing his goodness through me. It's
Bro,
not
that's
me.
exactly how I feel.
I'm not doing good. I'm not, I don't want to be the person that you marvel at, or I'm not doing this so that you can follow me, or I am just facilitating goodness and I take no credit for it. And that would be the opposite of pride. And I wrote this piece on pride. You know how I feel about pride. I think pride is one of the most dangerous, um, yeah, dangerous is extreme and unsettling. I think it's so, um, it's been conflated with this, like, it's like a good thing, as if it's going to be serving. I don't think pride serves anything. Um, I think it fills voids. I think it could be it gives people a sense of belonging, a sense of acceptance, like, think about where pride shows up. It shows up nationalistically. It shows up team pride in sports, right? Like, this is my jersey and my teammates, like, how many hockey fights happen because you hit somebody who wears the same jersey as me,
I think in a lot of
and
cases it separates rather than connects people.
yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
divisive. It's because, what are you prideful of? And then, pride to me, it taps into a weaker, insecure masculinity that We need less prideful people, I think, and we need to be less prideful of, I don't know, identity, belief systems, value systems. I love that. I love that about you. I love that you're able to say, you know, um, I'm not prideful of my religion or my belief system, and that's a very subtle but I think potent distinction.
You know, because I feel like I really say this. Like I would say the thing when I talk, you know, for me it's to God. But if you were just to like talk to the universe, whatever it was, I try so many, you know, because like the work I do, like I get a lot of praise in my work as a speaker and like being up on stage, and you know, I'm the center of attention, and I always I just am always asking God in this case to just like please keep me humble, like remind me of like why I'm here, or like remind me that like I didn't create any of this, I didn't do any of this. Like I am just harnessing what I've been given to serve the world in a way that, you know, I feel is good for society, and it also makes me feel good. But I'm not special. This isn't, you know what I mean? And so I'm constantly trying to remind myself of that. And I, of course, fall short because I'm human. But I think it's just so important. I think humility is just so important for, and such a key ingredient for just like a joyful, fulfilling life. Um, because I feel like humility just connects us rather than separates us. Like we can actually come together around our shared humanity rather than, um, you know, take pride in all these different, like, and grab on and hold identities to all these different things that are so meaningless in the grand scheme of things, and separate us. And I always just try to, I feel like I'm always like seeing us connected rather than separate, because we all came from the same place. Like we're all here to kind of do the same thing. We're all here to like, you know, we're trying to just like get through this life together as humans. We're all like similar. So yeah, I don't know. I really try to detach from like as much as I can. You know, again, I'm human. I recognize I'm not perfect by any means, but um, I find so much more peace in like recognizing that I'm not special at all. You know, because I feel like when we think we're special, like it almost brings off, like it almost invokes like anxiety. Like I have to perform, I have to be perfect. Like who are you? You're just another human being. You know what I mean? Just doing your best. Like who? You know? So I don't know, man.
Well, we have a lot of metrics to measure us on a daily basis, and so it's like you say, "Oh, I fall into it sometimes. I'm imperfect and I'm human." But also, like we have to give ourselves grace that like so much of our environment is so heavily wired in a way that promotes an idea of being measured.
Especially with
And
social media. Oh my gosh, man. It's
tell me about that.
well, I mean, you're just constantly, yeah, you know how hard it is to not compare yourself to people? You have to actively, I have to actively be mindful of, you know, if I follow other speakers, for example, I see them on a big stage or doing a big event. It's like, oh man, I wish that was me, you know? And it's like, dude, you're on your own path. You're doing, you know, it's so easy to just get pulled into this trap of not feeling like you're doing enough, not feeling like you fill in the blank enough, because of we are just keeping up with the Joneses with everyone, which was not how we were, you know, this is not how we grew up, not how really we were, I don't think we were supposed to do. I don't think it's really serving us. So I think it's just really, really hard to stay keep looking ahead, like on your path, and stop looking at everyone else's, because I feel like when we do that, it creates unnecessary suffering. It creates unnecessary judgment towards ourselves and thinking we should be doing more than we are, and all that type of stuff. So um and I'm very mindful of it, you know, and I know there's a lot of people that maybe aren't as mindful and just kill themselves because they're constantly thinking they should be somewhere where they're not, you know? Like how much less comparing would there be if there was no social media? Because you just wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what as many people are up to. Like there'd be less, you know, like I wouldn't know about all these, for example, random speakers that are, you know, like live in other places and speak at different events. I wouldn't even know who they are.
Yeah, and I think like, but I also think that brings out uh parts of you that almost like brings to the surface things that you could be more aware of for yourself. Like there's social media, but the metrics that stood out to you is like size of crowd, grandiose of stage, um
Yeah, frequency, how much they're speaking. I mean, also, stuff that like, you
right,
measure yourself.
general success in your
Yeah.
field, right? Like I think that probably brings about uh the part of you that is still measuring yourself or is still um we talk about like self-worth and how we have infinite self-worth. It's like we can understand that conceptually, but what happens in the world around us that brings out the part of us that still exists within us that hasn't fully accepted ourselves, right? Like um and that's for me too. That's still with body image. That's still with active lifestyles that I see. Man, like hell, I'll call him by name. Eric Hinman makes me feel like a piece of shit on a daily basis, right?
Shout out Eric.
I'm like, this guy is soaking up the vitamin D. He's shredded at 40 years old. He's riding his bike. His
Great relationships.
cardiovascularity is, yeah, like, man, I look at his life and I look at mine. I'm like, dude, I put up 40 pounds in the last 6 months. Like, I can't keep going in this direction. And I don't know that that's necessarily like, yeah, it's comparison, but it's also, I think it's a mirror in some sense. I think it's like a challenge in a sense that, like, no, I don't have to be where he's at now, and nor do I have to try to measure myself against him to feel better about myself. But I also think it brings about awareness of very real parts of me that I've not been okay with, that I'm not happy about, that I should change. And I think that's the difference between, we've talked about this, compassion and permission. I've given myself buttloads of permission lately, right? Like, like add in the milkshake. Yeah, permission. Uh, so it's, metaphorically, but also literally. Um, and so that's what I wrestle with, I went from this place of like discipline and authoritarian of myself, where I was restrictive, where I was, um, controlling parts of me. And I swung that pendulum so far the other way that I'm like, wait a second, I'm letting myself go. Like this can't be the response or like the correction. And so I'm trying to find that middle. And so I think that that's like an ongoing, what keeps you up at night? That, like the fact that I'm going to be 31 and I'm not any closer to what I would rather be, than I was even 4 years ago. So it's at the same time though, like I'm having to give myself grace. I did a new role. I totally dysregulated myself, like nervous system dysregulation to the max. And like, if anything, it showed me that like, hey, I'm maybe a quarter of the player I am the coach. I sat here and I've coached self-development, I've coached personal development, I've coached holistic practice. But when it came down to like, hey, you're in rocky waters and now is more than ever where you need to really lean into like stuff that's actually going to be fueling for you and self-serving and regulate yourself, I went the other direction. I went into just full on permission to just go head first into all of these unhealthy coping mechanisms. And I was like, well, okay, like if I was the coach of myself, we have a lot of work to do. And so that was my revelation over the last, however many months I've been 30. And so I hear some of that too when you talk about like you've made it so far in so many areas of your life, and yet there are still going to be these metrics that we're aware of that we're still maybe comparing ourselves to, but maybe there's stuff there that is worth listening to, is kind of the thing. It's like, how do you not throw the baby out with the bathwater? So it's like, no, I don't think it's healthy to compare myself to Eric Hinman. But yes, I think he shows me a version of my life that I'm striving to get to and gives me some level of like
Maybe
an
inspiration.
example. I think he's demonstrating. Yeah, I think he's like showing like
What's possible.
this could be, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
and
it's a
I
point of
forgot what I
reference.
saw. But it was like jealousy can be like it shows your authentic desires kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and almost the positive intelligence course we went through. The one thing that really stuck with a lot of things stuck with me from that course. One thing that stuck with me, and I didn't understand it in the moment, but I think I understand it now. We have the lowest amount of tolerance for traits in people that we hold the least amount of tolerance of those traits for ourselves.
yeah,
So what you tolerate the least out of others is a part of you that you're really wrestling with, that you
yeah.
hate about yourself.
Judgment. I hate when I judge other people, but I hate it in other. But I can't stand it. But I'm like, oh, I'm judging. Like,
Perfect example for you, I think. Go ahead, sorry.
no, no, no. That was it. It was like that. That's just what came to mind. That's just truth.
It's like the more that you denounce other people's tendency to be a judge, it's almost like you can learn of that person that they themselves is struggling with judgment, right?
Yeah, you're really. Now that we're really going, we're like psycho. We're like in the depths of psychoanalyzing the person. But I'm following. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just like, why do I? Especially because sometimes it'll be like, I'll be judging, another gay person, and I'm like, man, like I hate the fact that I'm judging who I am. Like I'm literally judging someone. I hate that I'm doing it, but I am, and I'm judging, someone's character or whatever it might be. And it's just the reality. It's the truth because I can feel it, and now I feel I hate that I'm doing it, yet I'm doing it. Um, that's when it's important to give grace, and then also, understand where it might be coming from, and but yeah, great grace is important during those parts. You got anything else before we cut it?
No, now I'm just gonna go sit alone for the rest of my Sunday and think about all of this. So thanks.
All right, y'all.
Uh,
Well,
it gets pretty existential.
yeah, man, we get deep in here. We're deep in the arena. So everyone, thank you so much for listening, for being up again. Please follow, 5 stars, subscribe, tell your friends, family members, whoever it might be. We appreciate it. We will see you next week.